You are welcome to the Tax Talk, and my name is Oyinlola Sale. We focus on the issues you may have difficulties with as regards tax administration. Our job here is to help you through any logjam or quagmire you may have experienced previously. This goes especially for residents and taxpayers in the great state of Lagos. Let's set the ball rolling with business news.
This is Business News. The Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative and the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms have agreed to work in partnership and collaborate on deployment of reliable data and public disclosure to support ongoing governance and institutional reforms and public finance management. Rising from a meeting held at the Naiti House, Abuja, the Executive Secretary of Naiti, Dr. Bunaya Oji, and the Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Edele, identified the importance of Naiti's reports in the oil, gas, and mining sectors and the deployment of accurate data as critical success factors in evolving enduring fiscal policies and tax reforms in Nigeria. Mr. Oyedele, in his remarks, explained that the committee has classified its work in three distinct categories, including fiscal governance, with particular attention to financial management, revenue generation, borrowing, spending, as well as policy coordination at the national and subnational levels. Others are on revenue transformation, focusing on improving government revenues through improved mechanisms, from taxing oil and gas and non-oil resources to transform the revenue profile of the country. The Lagos State Red Line Rail project is set to be commissioned in a few weeks from now. The governor of the state, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, disclosed this on his official X page recently. Mr. Sanwo-Olu stated that the Red Line Rail project, covering the Agbado area of the state to Oto, will bring relief to commuters. Describing the project as a significant milestone, the governor said his administration is committed to enhancing transportation for millions of Lagos residents. According to him, quote, "Exciting times for Lagos. I am delighted to announce that the Red Line Rail project covering Agbado to Oto is ready for commissioning. With its inauguration just weeks away, we are set to provide more relief for commuters." End quote. Speaking on the outcome of his meeting with the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation (CCECC), the company contracted to deliver the Lagos Red and Blue Line Rail project. The governor explained that his team emphasized the need to complete the second phase of the Blue Line Rail project. He expressed gratitude to CCECC for the collaboration and for the support of other partners in realizing the transformative project. He said his administration's promise to over 20 million Lagosians was fast becoming a reality, noting that the city's traffic and transportation challenges will soon be history. Mr. Sanwo-Olu also noted that the construction of the 4th Mainland Bridge will begin shortly and that President Bola Tinubu will have the privilege of launching the Red Line Rail for commercial operations. In line with its policy on bridge maintenance and management and global quality assurance and quality control practices, the Lagos State Government has commenced routine maintenance works on pedestrian and vehicular bridges in the state. This was disclosed by the Special Advisor to the Governor on Infrastructure, Engineer Olufemi Daramola, while inspecting the extent of ongoing works on the Kodeso Bridge in Ikeja local government area of the state. He urged stakeholders to support the contractors on site to ensure timely delivery of the maintenance works, while reiterating the commitment of the government to the timely delivery of the project. The Special Advisor said the state government is not unmindful of the inconvenience the maintenance works will have on commuters. He, however, appealed for patience and cooperation from the monitoring public, saying the asphalt work and the replacement of the joint have been scheduled for completion in about 15 days. Mr. Daramola revealed that the government had hitherto announced that the Kodeso Bridge would not be open to vehicular traffic during the maintenance work. Traffic has been diverted on the Kodeso Bridge from Sunday 4th February to Monday 4th March 2024. And that's it on Business News.
Hello, sir. Good evening. How may I assist you?
I made a reservation for a room. My name is Ahmad.
Excellent, Mr. Amodu. A moment, please. You made a reservation for our deluxe suite for 2 nights. That will be 150,000 naira, sir. How would you like to make payment? Cash or card?
Card.
Okay. Thank you. Savings or current, sir?
Current.
Your PIN, please.
Thank you. You don't charge 5% consumption tax here.
No, sir. We don't do that.
Really? You're running a hospitality business and you're not charging 5% consumption tax?
No.
Hold on a minute. Hey bro.
Alpha.
Yeah, I am at an apartment in Ogba and the receipt issued to me did not reflect the payment or deduction of consumption tax.
Oh really? Thanks for the heads up. I will send a team to investigate.
I mean, they should be penalized.
Attention, all service apartment owners and operators in the hospitality business in Lagos State must charge and remit consumption tax to LIRS. Failure to comply is a contravention of the extant provisions in Section 9 of the HORC Law 2009, which attracts penalties as stipulated in Section 10 and 11 of the same law. Stay on the right side of the law.
Thank you for staying tuned to the Tax Talk. Every other week, we shine a light on troublesome areas. We examine these areas from various angles so you can have a bigger picture understanding of that matter. Today, we are examining where your taxes should be paid. Should you pay in the location where you work or the location where you live in? In the current workspace, those two locations can be quite different. Let's check out today's big story.
This is the big story. In the realm of taxation, a fundamental question often arises. Where do you pay your taxes? Is it based on where you work, or is it determined where you reside? The Personal Income Tax Act, a critical piece of legislation designed to address the very issue, clarifies the ambiguity surrounding taxation jurisdiction, particularly in cases where individuals work in one location but live in another.
As most people know, an individual or any body corporate, so say trustees, executors of wills, corporation souls, right? They have anyone that has an income which is chargeable to tax in the country under the provisions of the personal income tax is a taxable person. Then besides having this income that is chargeable, it then comes to the issue of where do I then pay these taxes? So an individual in Nigeria who is earning an income and who's chargeable to tax would have to pay in a state in Nigeria where the individual is resident. Also, so going to who is a resident, Section 2 of Personal Income Tax, read in conjunction with the first schedule of the Act, then breaks it down to explain what a place of residence is and a principal place of residence. So a place of residence means a place available for an individual's domestic use in Nigeria on any relevant day and does not include any hotel or guest house or any temporary lodge, right? When we then go on to say a principal place of business, then this comes up when the person has two places where they live and then there's an issue. Where do I pay my taxes and where don't I pay my taxes? So the law is also, the Personal Income Tax Act is also clear in the first schedule, and it says that where an individual has two or more places of residence in Nigeria on any relevant day, and these places are not within the same territory, the individual is deemed to be resident in the territory in which he has his principal place of residence.
Taxpayers are required to pay taxes based on where they reside for several reasons, one of which may be likened to that fact that taxation is often likened to the provision of public services and infrastructures by both state and local government. By paying taxes based on place of residence, taxpayers contribute to the funding of local schools, healthcare facilities, roads, and other essential services in their local community. Additionally, tax authorities like the LIRS have clarified that taxation based on residency helps ensure a fair distribution of tax burdens. It takes into account the benefits and services received by individuals in their residential area. Different regions may have varying costs of living, levels of public services, and infrastructure needs. Just as the tax experts assert, taxing individuals based on their place of residence helps create a more equitable system.
Well, we probably spend a lot of our time in our places of work, but we also go back home. That's where we have our families. That's where we're probably using most of the amenities that the government is providing. So, for example, with residents in Lagos, you get home with your family. There's electricity, there are good roads. Weekends, you have some activities that you have to do with your family. So again, you're also spending a large portion of your time and your resources in the state where you reside. So I think that's the whole essence behind behind the logic of paying your taxes in your place of residence as opposed to where you work.
Basically, there's no issue or ambiguity here. As according to Peter, especially payee is basically on residency rule. In other words, you're supposed to pay your payee based on where you reside. Most people, for example, work in Lagos and they reside in Ibadan, Mowe, Ota, even as far as Ibadan, but they work in Lagos. Now, that payee or that aspect of tax is to be paid to those various places, which is Ogun State or your state, as the case may be, despite the fact that they work in Lagos. So basically, by the act, is where you reside, and that is why it's called residency rule.
In the case of determining the principal place of residence, this will be where an individual has 2 or more places of residence in Nigeria on any relevant day, and these places are not within the same territory. The individual is deemed to be resident in the territory in which he has his principal place of residence. In the case of an individual with a source of earned income, so he's in employment somewhere other than his pension, that place which on a relevant day is nearest to his principal place of work will be where he would have to pay his taxes. In the case of an individual with a source or other sources of an earned income, that place or place which he usually resides. So an individual who earns income who works in Ogun State but resides in Lagos, if he's in employment, has some form of earned income, he would have to pay his taxes in Lagos because he resides in Lagos. Personal income tax, as I said, Section 2, read in conjunction with the first schedule to the Act, is quite explicit about what residence is, how residency is determined, and where taxes should be paid.
While it may seem to a few that it is logical that taxes should be based on where an individual works rather than where they reside, the current practice of taxing, and from the enlightenment from the tax experts and authorities, is based on residence, and here are a few points to consider. Provision of local services and infrastructures, access to residency benefits like public parks, libraries, emergency services, administrative simplicity, economic impact, revenue generated can be invested in the state to stimulate economic growth and create job opportunities. And finally, ensuring equity and distribution amongst others.
I would say, yeah, some people would assume that it's more logical, but the law is quite clear on what residence is, where you should pay. It should be where you reside. So I'll give instances. I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, I reside in Lagos, for example, and I have income coming in from various other states, Ogun State, Kaduna State, or whatever, and then have to pay all those taxes where I reside. What about those states where I earn the income from?" But the law is quite clear on residence. It will be where you reside. Also, for Lagos State, we have a lot of people who reside here but work in Ogun State. So some people work in Songota, they work in Mowe, various areas which are like the borderline of Lagos. Yes, they might think it's logical, but again, the law is clear.
As Lagos continues to flourish and draw in more businesses and potential residents, this ongoing debate on where taxpayers should fulfill their tax obligations has been laid to rest. Nevertheless, one thing remains evident: taxes play a pivotal role in fueling Lagos' growth and progress.
The main focus of the government when trying to put this Personal Income Tax Act together is to make sure that everybody's in the tax net, everybody's doing their bit to put money into the purse of the government to be able to provide amenities for every individual. So you're taking your children to school, they're providing good roads. So wherever those revenues might be paid, the most important thing is it is paid where you reside. It's really not a loss to any particular state. And I know that Lagos State also does a lot to make sure that everyone who resides in Lagos is in the tax net.
It's undeniable that the socio-economic development of Lagos hinges significantly on the revenue generated through taxes. This realization underscores why the Lagos State government, through the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, is redoubling its effort to broaden its tax base, ensuring that more individuals and businesses contribute their fair share.
We've been able to add a whole lot of technology to make life simple for everybody. Right in the convenience of your bedroom, you can pay your tax. We have this enterprise platform we call e-tax, enterprise tax. Everybody should register there.
By expanding the tax net, the Lagos State government aims to bolster its capacity to undertake vital infrastructure projects, provide essential public services, and foster an environment conducive to sustain economic prosperity. Ultimately, every taxpayer's contribution contributes to the collective advancement and viability of the state, paving the way for a brighter future for all residents. In this dynamic landscape of growth and opportunity, embracing tax responsibility is not just a legal obligation, but a civic duty, one that empowers Lagos State to continue its trajectory as a vibrant and a thriving metropolis.
The fascinating thing about doing this for me is the fact that I also get to uncover previously unknown points of view too. The big story opens your eyes to how various parts of the machine perceive themselves fitting into the scheme of things. You've learned a little more about your obligations in terms of taxes as it relates to where you are domiciled as against where your office is physically. It's still the Tax Talk, more to come when we get back.
Hello, sir. Good evening. How may I assist you?
I made a reservation for a room. My name is Ahmad.
Excellent, Mr. Modu. A moment, please. You made a reservation for our deluxe suite for 2 nights. That will be 150,000 naira, sir. How would you like to make payment? Cash or card?
Card.
Okay. Thank you. Savings or current, sir?
Current.
Your PIN, please.
Thank you. You don't charge 5% consumption tax here.
No, sir. We don't do that.
Really? You're running a hospitality business and you're not charging 5% consumption tax?
No.
Hold on a minute. Hey, bro.
Alpha.
Yeah, I'm at an apartment in Ogba, and the receipt issued to me did not reflect the payment or deduction of consumption tax.
Oh, really? Thanks for the heads up. I will send a team to investigate.
I mean, they should be penalized.
Attention, all service apartment owners and operators in the hospitality business in Lagos State must charge and remit consumption tax to LIRS. Failure to comply is a contravention of the extant provisions in Section 9 of the HORC Law 2009, which attracts penalties as stipulated in Section 10 and 11 of the same law. Stay on the right side of the law.
Nearly 25 minutes have flown by, and I'm sure in that time you've definitely digested the information we've dispensed. Follow us on social media, like and share our content so that we can educate a larger range of taxpayers within Lagos. The LIRS are online as well and have a website that we've scrolled during the course of the show. We do that every week. My name is Oinlola Saleh, and it's time for me to draw the curtain on today's show.